Well, it looks like Miss Kiki Palmer is being drugged yet again. Okay. But she's not alone in this. All right. There is someone else that is being drugged right along with her, and we're going to get into the details of that. So, Kiki Palmer is working on or has worked on a show. She helped produce a show for a young lady by the name of Nikia Stevens. All right. She is the owner of Damn Right Originals, where they write a lot of different stories, short films and things of that nature. And they are having a project to drop, and actually, I believe it has already dropped, called Southern Fried Rice. This story is about a Korean American girl who was raised from birth, right, by Southern Black parents, right? And they also go on to say that she's struggling to defend and redefine her identity after being accepted into a popular HBCU. So once people saw this trailer about an HBCU experience that it appears to be centered around this Korean American young lady, although there are a lot of other, black individuals that are a part of the film as well. A lot of people begin to be extremely outraged, right? A lot of people have been outraged, regardless of whether they've even had an HBCU experience themselves, right? Whether they went to no college at all, whether they went to a PWI or they actually went to a HBCU. There are a wide range of people that are offering their opinions, and they are upset about this. Okay. For me, when I first saw it, I was unmoved, right? I was unmoved by it. I more so was looking for Cordell. Okay. I'm not going to hold you. I was looking for Cordell. I was like, oh, shout out to Cordell out here in the film, doing what it is that he wants to do. And I didn't really pay too much attention for real. I'm like, okay, it's about this Asian girl, and me, a person being a graduate of a HBCU, I've seen a variety of people attend our university. So I kind of like shrug my shoulders, honestly, because I'm like, okay, like, I mean, they do have their own experience at a HBCU. I'll never know what it's like through their eyes, really, because I'm amongst my people. Y'all not. Okay. And after I left Alabama State University, I feel like they let even more non-black folks into the university. I said, well, damn, is y'all gonna be at HBCU in a few years? Or what the hell, what y'all gonna be? Okay, because y'all damn sure letting a whole bunch of non-black folks up in this, right? So, but y'all do what y'all want to do, honey, because y'all gonna do that anyway, because that's just how y'all is, right? So I felt no ways. I think for me, once I learned that the close friend to the main character in the film is a young black girl that did not go to college because she ended up getting pregnant, I feel like for me, that's probably where I probably had the problem. Okay, because I'm like, well, girl, we can kind of change that. Like, that doesn't, me going into college and being a woman that was pregnant. Hello. All right. Had my son my freshman year. Like, what, on a Monday, I was back in school by that, what, Wednesday, Thursday, back in rotation doing my damn thing. And it's like, her life didn't have to stop. She didn't have to not go to college because she got pregnant. Maybe that could have been written differently, right? But I'm not gonna really police how people choose to be outraged about this. If you were upset about it, that's your personal. If you're one that isn't bothered by it too much, that's your personal too. We will get into what some people have to say about this, but first I want us to get into what Kiki Palmer had to say regarding some of the backlash. I feel like she didn't necessarily address it, and she wanted to let people know, I didn't write this, I didn't create this, but yes, I am, somewhat guilty because I did produce this. However, there is someone else that is a black creative that I am trying to support in this, right? Amongst other, black actors. A lot of people feel like, yeah, you could have still supported her, but you could have supported a different project. It didn't have to be this one. A lot of people are upset because they feel like the Asians were very instrumental and trying to take away, affirmative action in the schools or something like that. Basically, it was a lot of Asians that were complaining at Ivy League schools because they felt as though the black people were getting more opportunities than they were. So that's like a whole conversation, right? That people are like upset about, but I'm not really seeing the correlation, but I'll let y'all leave the thoughts and stuff down in the comments because I'm always open to be educated and to learn, different perspectives and how people feel about this. But the first thing I want us to do is get a video of Kiki Palmer and let us see exactly what it is Kiki Palmer has to say about the situation overall. All right. So let us go ahead and check this out.
Hey, you guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on Key TV. That is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nikia Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. I mean, Nakia has written, show ran, and produced 4 shows alongside her Damn Right Originals team with KeyTV. And KeyTV has proudly invested over $500,000 on her creations. And I say that because it's not easy to obtain that kind of investment. And KeyTV, this is the ethos of the company. It's a network not just because it has stars and shows or has talent, but because it's about the people who create the shows and connecting them. I mean, we have Alex King, a Black queer creator that made the short film Keep Me in Mind. We have Antoine Lachey, who created the horror story Blue Forest. We have Cousin M by a father and son duo, Rosero and Eric McCoy. Chelsea Sanders, who created Make It Make Sense and Unlabeled by Lawrence Murray. Chelsea also did Dear Kiki. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of Black creatives is not. And it's a task that KeyTV takes on with pride, because if you want to be a creative, you have to be able to create. And that takes money. And it's KeyTV's mission to find the funds for you to be in practice, for you to experience trial and error, and to take your projects off the page and get more than one chance to do it in action. So whether you like it all or some or none, I say give these creatives a chance to grow as we continue to grow in supporting them. So God bless you guys. And like I said, Nakia has Southern Fried Rice that's coming out most recently, but she has Nepotista, Ho and Tails, and Psychology of Fuckboys. That's also some great stuff for you to check out. Take care. Thanks for listening. Holla at your girl.
All right, so she left a very lengthy message where she says, as a professional tap dancer and court jester for most of my life, I'm not complaining. I can just tell you that it's imperative people of color have jobs outside of just being the talent or the player on the team. It's my mission with Key TV Network to help fund and support the creators of color behind the scenes, giving them a chance to tell their own story. Okay, basically, this is Kiki like, listen, I ain't create this show. Back up off me. I'm just over here trying to do my job by supporting creatives, all right? Black ones in particular. So if you want to be upset with somebody, go over there and be upset with Nakia. That's how I'm getting it. Now, Nakia did hop in the comments, telling Kiki thank you and everything for championing her and supporting her through all of this, right? So she says that she's very grateful to Kiki, but she also takes to her own platform to pretty much say more about it, all right? And we're going to tap into that as well. Let us get into that to see exactly what Miss Nakia had to say.
Oh, hi. I wanted to come on here and first and foremost say thank you so much for watching the Southern Fried Rice trailer. I'm seeing the comments, I'm seeing the support, I'm seeing the discourse, and as a storyteller, I welcome it. I welcome conversation, I welcome curiosity. And for those of you who've been following me and supporting my journey, y'all know that Southern Fried Rice is 10 plus years in the making. And it was inspired by my own HBCU experience and observations as a student at Savannah State University, the first public HBCU in Georgia. But no, I had friends at Savannah State University and people in my orbit who were non-Black and had to navigate a historically Black space. And I saw how hard and challenging and fun and beautiful it was for them to do so, and that sparked my curiosity and honestly planted the seed for Southern Fried Rice. And obviously over the years it has been massaged into something more deeper and nuanced, but that was ultimately the seed, right? And I think my ultimate goal was to spark conversation around culture, around belonging, and around identity. And so that's what I think I've done. And I'm very proud of Southern Fried Rice. Furthermore, I'm very proud of the people behind Southern Fried Rice, other than me, the people I collaborated with. So a Black woman director who also attended an HBCU, 3 producers who also attended HBCUs. Some of our cast and crew also attended HBCU. So these are people who love and protect Black culture and hold it close to their hearts, who were collaborating on this project. And so yeah, I'm proud of it. And I'm also first and foremost, I already said first and foremost, second most, I have to say thank you to Kiki and Key TV for allowing me the opportunities. Like, this is my 4th project with Key TV. So we have Ho and Tail, we had Nepotista, we had the Psychological Evolution of Fuckboys, and now we have Southern Fried Rice. And I'm just so grateful that they, and especially Kiki, has been a huge champion of me and my storytelling, and honestly has contributed her own money into these projects so that we can tell these stories. And so definitely want to shout out KTV and Kiki Palmer, because they have been huge champions for the kind of stories that we want to tell, which are these beautiful nuanced stories that spark conversation. So Kiki gave me a chance, and I'm asking for you all to give this a chance and tune into Southern Fried Rice and see for yourself, and continue to support Black creators. Thank you.
So that is what Miss Nakia Stevens had to say. She says, I've always been open to discovering new ways to have different conversations. I wanted to understand people, places, language, and behavior. That curiosity followed me straight into storytelling. All right. Now, over there on Twitter, a lot of people have been in her comments, giving her their feedback. Some of it is harsh, some of it is supportive. But I think that a lot of the harsh things, the comments, okay, that people were saying, and I'm not even going to say that it was harsh, really. It's just more so how they feel about this experience that may not be so much as in her favor as she may want it to be. But these people came out, gave their opinions, and it led to Nakia putting out a statement herself again after that, after this post. And she says, okay, she says, now I realize why I ghosted Twitter. Y'all are fake intellectuals and insufferable, right? So that is one of the comments that was made. And some people started to attack her even more, saying, you left Twitter but you came back to promote this project. you know um it was just a lot of stuff, y'all. Y'all would have to go over there to Twitter. They were just on her heads. Her identity became a part of the question. There was a statement that she made at once upon a time where she said that she's Dominican and Asian, and that might be a part of her history, her family history. But people found a post of her parents who are Black individuals and stuff. So it's just been a lot. It's been a lot that's been going on. I would have never expected this particular video or this project to have so much controversy around it. But I also feel like it's attached to Kiki Palmer. Kiki Palmer, for a lot of people, have been very problematic. They don't like the fact that she was choosing to interview certain people. And ever since her incident with her child's father, I believe it was last year, people have just been like chipping away at different things when it comes to Kiki, because they expect more of her. They expect her to operate like a journalist and then say that she's not a journalist, which I don't really think Kiki is a journalist, really. You know what I'm saying? I think there are certain things that come with that. But it doesn't mean that she can't be one at some point in time. But I will say a part of being a journalist is being fair. And sometimes being fair is going to require you to interview people that everybody else may not want you to really interview, but they're just being fair, right? I'm gonna interview this person, and I'm gonna also bring this other person, that may be involved in this situation on to speak their piece as well. But all in all, she got a lot of controversy and stuff going on with her. People are not in support of that. But I do want us to hop over to a TikTok or a few, right, to check out what some of the people have to say about this particular production of Southern Fried Rice. All right. Now they are saying that some of the episodes are up for people to check out. I have not checked it out. If I were to have watched, it would have been to really support Cordell. Like, oh, let me check this out, and I am familiar with Nakia Stevens when she was here once, in Atlanta, where she, was doing her Damn Right originals and stuff, doing different projects, and then eventually she moved over to LA. So it's good to see that she's still out here working, not losing her desire to want to continue to be a creative and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, shout out to her, right? But we'll see. I might still check the show out for my own personal, to just see. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not rushing and running to watch a whole lot of shows right now, to be honest with you. But we're gonna check out what some other people had to say about Southern Fried Rice. So let's get into it. All right, let's check this out.
Kiki Palmer has made a new reality show where an Asian woman goes to a HBCU, historically Black college, and I don't know who greenlit this. I feel like there's so many different premises that could have been better. Like if it was a Malibu Most Wanted situation where this, as a certified Asian girly, a lot of Asian people act Black. They want to think that they're cool. They want to they listen to hip hop music. They say the N word. There's people out there. There's a lot of Asian people out there. If it had been a Malibu Most Wanted situation and she went to a HBCU, and then she started learning about a lot of the history, and also kind of like learning about just like Black history, decolonizing, just like becoming more real and accepting of her Asianness, and not opting into Black culture as a way to, I don't know. Like, that would have been an interesting premise, possibly, but also this is a reality show. I don't know what this Asian girl is supposed to learn. Why are we at the center of Black stories, in a sense? Like, it doesn't make sense at all. And, like, can we let Black people have something? Like, this is not time and place. Like, I feel like that premise that the Malibu's Most Wanted situation, like, that would have sounded interesting, because a lot of Asian people need to learn Black history, and they don't know enough Black history. They feel like they kind of get a glimpse from American education, but not to the extent that we should want them to learn. I haven't watched it. I don't know anything about it. And the fact that it's southern fried rice, which I heard it's about a Korean person. As a Korean person, it's like, why? I don't like anything, feels like a microaggression, anything with like food related things, because you might as well just call us ching chong or something then. Like, I don't. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. There could have been a great learning lesson here, and instead I feel like they're just centering the Asian girl. For what reason?
Right. So like I feel like I agree with a lot of what this young lady is saying, and I think that, as I'm listening to her, it's like, I mean, maybe this young lady still could have been a part of the cast, but not so much as like the main focal point, right? Because people, y'all gonna have to accept the fact that, yeah, like white folks, Asian folks, they do go to HBCUs, just like you have Black people and other races and stuff, backgrounds, ethnicities, they go to predominantly white schools. Like, it's literally what it is. However, I think that it probably would have been more well received if the show wasn't centered around her when it comes to identifying the Black HBCU experience, right? I think a lot of people feel like the same message could have come across from a Black person's perspective, and she being one of the friends of, to where in this particular circle of friends you can explore everybody's own experience. Being a Black guy at a HBCU, this young lady that may have a child or pregnant with a child at a HBCU, this woman that was raised by this family, doesn't necessarily feels like she belongs, right? But also feels like she belongs to the Black community. I think but I haven't, watched the show, even an episode, to really know, because the show may go into the different lives of everybody, right? And their experience at a HBCU, but it was propped up to be positioned as though it's all about this Korean um young lady. So yeah, I would have to check it out, maybe an episode or so, just to see exactly what is the angle where we really, going with this. But as far as the name did catch me off guard just a bit, and I think that I kind of agree with her, like with the Southern fried rice piece. It is kind of like, you might as well call us such and such if that's the case, because I'll be honest, I would hate for somebody to do a show and, it's about a Black girl attending a PWI, and then you have it called like lemon pepper chicken type of thing. I'm not gonna hold you. I just would be like, girl, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? Just a little piece. I do kind of understand what this young lady here is saying. Let us tap into more, because I want to get more people's opinions on this.
Palmer's new show, Southern Fried Rice, very intellectually, real quick, because I want y'all to actually understand how sinister the concept really is, right? So it's about a Asian woman who grows up in a Black family and decides to go to an HBCU to be around people who understand her, right? I just want y'all to think about what that means in the climate, in the world that we live in, especially in the social media space, right? How often are we calling out other communities for, imitating the Black experience, or the tone of voice, the style, the aesthetic? And for her to make a entire show around that concept shows just how little Kiki Palmer thinks about the Black community, really and truly, right? And let's not even get into the whole fact that this is like a rip-off version of Grownish, right? Like, right? We get it. You picked a girl who has a similar aesthetic to the lead character.
Let me pause right here. When she said grownish, y'all, I'm gonna be honest. For me, I thought about Blackish. When I tell y'all I'd never watched Grownish nor Blackish to be able to relate the two, I, did I even try to watch an episode? I don't think so. I think I may have just seen the clips around, but yeah, it wasn't really my thing. But
They're in Grownish, and you're basically playing off that exact same experience. Corny,
mm-hmm.
corny rendition of the show. But on top of that, this was the perfect opportunity for people to talk about black people who grow up in predominantly white neighborhoods and what the shift to going to a predominantly black school feels like. Oh my God, you see how amazing that idea would have been compared to the one that she is executing now? When you think about the black experience on TV.
And you know what else I want to add to that when she says that? It gave me the idea that that would have been good to get a person that grew up primarily around a bunch of white people, right? But yearned to have that black experience from a HBCU because they had a HBCU visit their school, right? A HBCU going on a tour to a primarily white private school or whatever the case is, coming, getting, convincing some students to come to the HBCU and probably went on a full ride. And you have this black girl with her best white friend that's whitest of the whites or whatever, child, I don't know, and have them come over to the school. That probably would have been good. Not to center the show around both of them. Be clear, the show would be centered around the black young lady who grew up in a white area, right? And decides to go to a HBCU in an effort to connect back with her culture and to learn more about herself. And then you got your white best friend that comes along with you. Okay, so that's gonna be a trip within itself as well, right? Because how many times do you really see a white person going to a predominantly all white school, whatever, and then want to come to a black school? Chances are, because after leaving Alabama State University, I started seeing more white people come to the university. I believe they got full rides, more so for like sports and stuff like that. Whatever those sports were, they was the ones over there getting full rides. So I think that would have been, not such a bad idea. But leave your thoughts down below.
It is 100%. I can't even say 99, 75. It is 100% surrounded by pain, sexuality, and violence. There are no enriching black TV shows on television anymore, and this was the perfect opportunity to fill that space. Honestly, Issa Rae is the only person who's come out with an enriching show about the black experience in the last 10 years. I feel like suburban black people get left out of the conversation so much. And the reason why that is because you would have to highlight a black experience that, for one, highlights racism and trauma and what it does to the black psyche. But for two, show a version of black people that is not saturated in black caricatures. You know what I mean? The obsession that Hollywood has with painting the black experience as perversion, right? Extra sexual, extra violent, extra, like, it's just all so monotonous, for one, but evil. Like, it's evil. Why would Kiki Palmer think that we give a fuck about a show about an Asian bitch who goes to a fucking HBCU? This is what I be talking about when I say that everybody is an agent of the system, right? These people are not sovereign beings. They cannot control the type of work that they put out because, dude, this makes absolutely no sense unless you're working towards an agenda, right? And the agenda is to highlight other people having a positive black experience instead of actual black people having a positive black experience. When y'all be saying, oh, like, Kiki Palmer is a terrible interviewer and all of those things, Kiki Palmer is not a terrible interviewer. Kiki Palmer those people have been sent to Kiki Palmer for her to purposely clear up their images. That's why they're sent to her, for PR purposes, period.
Two things can exist because Kiki can definitely do a better job with interviewing, even if it is to clear up people's images. And sometimes clearing up your images is going to come with asking hard questions. Okay, I'm gonna ask the questions. You need to make sure that you're doing your part and you're prepared to answer the elephants that's in the room. Okay, that's just what that is. Another thing I wanted to highlight. She was talking about perfect opportunity and stuff for what the show could have been. I think honestly this would have been a good time to like bring back this generation's version of like Different World, if that makes sense. Like a lot of us watch Different World. I absolutely love that show. I think we may have gotten like maybe, did we get any Asian characters on the show? I can't recall. I know we had the white guy that was on the show who was crazy about Kim and was Freddie's cousin, so he was on the show for a minute. But I think, I don't know if we had any other Asians on the show, but I do feel like that could have been an opportunity of making their own version of a Different World for this group. And the great thing about this, and I know a lot of people are giving, Nakia and Kiki flack for this, but the show could migrate right into a different direction. Like right now it may be focused on this Asian girl and how she enters into this space or whatever, but it could just end up spilling off. You know how you watch a show and it's about one focus in season 1, and by season 2 we focusing on something completely different that may be even more interesting. Maybe they could do that, migrate it to something different. But I also understand the fact that the first impression is very important. And right now, a lot of people, a lot of the controversy that's happening, people are not interested. But then it's also making some people want to go and watch and check it out for themselves. Because some people feel like everybody be outraged over Kiki for nothing. So I don't know. Y'all choose y'all battles. Choose what it is that you want. Tune in, don't tune in, be upset, not be upset. I'm not here to police y'all emotions about this show, but just want to share with you guys about what's going on. So we're gonna get into one more video and check it out and see what this young lady has to say. And yeah, go from there.
Y'all outrage be selective. Like y'all will be up in arms about this, but y'all will celebrate and continue to push shit like this and this. Having these think pieces about shows that y'all don't actually watch, I can never feel you on that. But I watched the first 2 episodes of Southern Fried Rice and I have some thoughts. So I went to PV-A&M University, and as somebody who went to a HBCU, like nothing about this concept is profound. You see non-black people on HBCU campuses all the time, the same way that you see Asian people growing up in the hood. So it's like nothing about the concept of this show is so profound and groundbreaking. And the fact that the actual creator of the show said that this was a project that was 10 years in the making, you can tell. This is dated, it is out of touch. And while there were a couple of plot points that made it seem like it could get juicy later, I don't care for the series just because Coco's character is boring. Like, she really just kind of is existing in this ecosystem of a HBCU. But it's like, girl, give us something more. Like, I don't know. Because if that's the case, you could have just made a series about life at a HBCU and you didn't have to put it through the lens of being a non-black person. Like, I get it.
That's a good
Sister
point.
is a product of black culture, but she is fully aware and acknowledges that she is not a black person and that she is not trying to steal anyone's culture. That is just the culture that raised her. Then there's this outrage over the black best friend being pregnant. And I get it. We want to say that it's a trope, but we cannot act like teen pregnancy is not something that happens
Very
in black
true.
communities. It happens in all communities.
It does. I mean, like I said, y'all went to college. I was pregnant. I was pregnant my first year. But at the same time, I do feel like, I mean, honestly, it is the reality to a lot of people's situations. Young ladies get pregnant and it does deter them from going to college. They may go to college for a semester after having their child. They may drop out of college, right? But then you also have individuals like myself, right? That go on, they're pregnant their first year, they go to college, they continue, don't allow them having a child stop them from going to college, and then they graduate in a timely fashion like everybody else on time. All right. And shout out to my family, because for me, I was able to do everything that I wanted to do when I went to college. I had the black experience. I stayed on campus for like what, that summer. I didn't stay on campus anymore. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because girl, who finna pay that and eat that food, girl? No man. But anyway, okay. I was able to go home. Right. Because I also went to a HBCU in the city in which I lived in. So I had my full experience. I was able to be a part of the theater department, dancing and stuff, a part of the eclectic team. I went on to be a cheerleader for Alabama State University for like 2 years. And I also went on and I was able to pledge my sorority. And like I had the full experience, even with the child. So I do feel like that story could have potentially been told different. But honestly, that my story is not everybody else's story. Right? Some people had to, they had their child or got pregnant, did not go to college, and then maybe after 2 years went back to college. So everybody's situation is different. So that would have been my only, for me, like probably like issue when I was, checking out the trailer or whatever, and I'm learning more details because I'm like, what's being asked of Kiki, and I'm learning more details. I'm like, I don't really like that, but then at the same time, that is the reality of the situation. But I love, as a lot of these young ladies have said that we've listened to, this story could have been told differently and not necessarily through the eyes of this particular person. And I'm liking this young lady's thoughts on this situation more because she's actually watched it. She's actually watched the show to give more of her thoughts about it versus being outraged based on what other people are saying and you haven't watched it yourself, just to see like where is she really going with this a little bit, right? So I can appreciate this. But let's keep going.
But we can only talk about the community that we are a product of and the community that's being highlighted. And if y'all would have given this conversation a chance, you would have saw that it was trying to call to something a lot deeper. And what she really spoke about that should have been highlighted was the way that her family was just so readily accepting of it and made her believe that her only choice was to raise the baby, and that was the right thing to do when she very much had other options available to her, but she did not have the ability to explore them because of the beliefs in her Black family. And let's not act like we don't know somebody with this very same story, because I do. Now, the antagonist being woke, plus size, and dark skinned, y'all played. It gives very much Black trope. And for this to be written by a Black woman, there should have just been another level of care when casting people for these roles, because why would you typecast shorty like this? And this week, y'all mad at Kiki Palmer, but at the end of the day, Key TV is a platform created for creators of color to have a space to let their art be visible to the world. So she's doing quite literally what the ethos of her network is created to do. And in a time like this, where our Black voices are being snuffed out by major media, I can applaud Kiki for doing what she's doing and finding the funding for projects of color to have a space to be scrutinized, to be celebrated, to be whatever, because at the end of the day, that's the whole point. Y'all,
You know what? That was good. I think I randomly just grabbed some ladies to hear what they had to say, and not knowing what all they were going to say at all. And I think I made some good choices. Okay, I
like,
think
y'all
they
will
were
be up in
pretty.
arms
Let me
about this.
pause that again. I think that was pretty well rounded in their thoughts, even though it all kind of still goes into the same direction of everybody's feeling the same about this project being a bit tone deaf. And I'm glad that we were able to hear it from an Asian person's perspective as well, because it's like, girl, now what now? And then you're gonna do what with the name now? All right, so it's not just us that's complaining or have an issue with this. There are others, but I'll let you guys leave your thoughts and comments down below. All right, let's work on having some healthy conversations. Let's not be so harsh. People are entitled to feel how they choose to feel about said situations. It's going to be people that are very bothered by this, followed by their thoughts and reasonings as to why. And then it's going to be people that's not going to be so bothered by this. But you choose what side you stand on. All right. That's all that I have for you guys at this time. Of course, I am Jamie. That's me. Don't forget to like up the video. If you got some hypes, hype up the video and also subscribe to the channel. I'm Jamie. That's me. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, tell him I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a proxy. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like Agent Smith. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I can face the rim, putting shots up. I got laser focus, about to take it over, I'm Invader Zim. On a trip to Florida like it's A&M.